Hey, remember this video? Let me tell you why I changed my mind on this topic. To give you a brief summary on my previous video, I claimed that Steve should not be banned from competitive Smash Bros, among other factors. Now let's dive into said factors and play devil's advocate as to why Steve should be banned, as well as investigate another technique that was discovered just a month ago. At least at the time of the script, that is. One of the points that I talked about in my previous video was that it was too early to ban Steve, because the complaints really just started to take off after Super Smash Con 2022 had concluded. You know, the tournament where Onin had beaten many top players such as Leo 3-0, Meister 3-1, Riddles 3-1, and Mudace 3-2. And that's just a few of them. I wanted to give the character some time, because I assumed that there was counterplay that was yet to be developed. And as time went on, more Steve tech popped up instead, including the PMLG, which I will get into later. Counterplay had basically not developed, even with DD's demonstration with PT against Jake Steve. Additionally, even though Leo learned more of the matchup after Onin's victory against him in SmashCon, which was especially notable against Aquila in Ludwig's Invitational, Aquila just got his vengeance and came roaring back in Ultimate Summit 6, rest in peace Summit, by 3-0ing Leo and knocking him out of the bracket at 9th place again. Nothing from what I've seen, and what top players have seen, is working. So while counterplay is still on the table, it doesn't look like any meals are being cooked at the moment. Second off, I made the claim where, because Steve wasn't the best character in the game, he should not be banned. Because if he was banned, then the universal top 3, being Pyra and Mythra, Joker, and Pikachu, should also be banned. But guess what? Ultrank's first official tier list came out in late February, and Steve is considered number 1, with Pythra and Joker being number 2 and 3 respectively. Speaking of the tier list, I still think it's hella funny that Pikachu's actually outside of top 10, which, while I think Pikachu is overrated, he's at the very least top 10, maybe top 5 at most. I don't know. I just like saying that Pikachu is not busted. I make outlandish claims all the time. I think Wolf's back air is overrated and bad. I think Yoshi is lower mid tier. I think every Fire Emblem character is at least high tier. Yes, even those 3 stuck in lower mid and those 2 stuck in high mid. But we're not here to be talking about my garbage correct opinions. We're talking about Steve. He is considered the best in the game by this tier list, and I see more of a reason to actually ban him. Oh, you don't trust that tier list? Okay. How about other players then? MK Leo, top player. What if we ban Steve? Spargo, top player. Ban Steve. Esam, top player. The fact that you can do this tech out of hit stun, that's legit not okay. What the? And proceeds to retweet a twit longer where the PMLG Steve tech is ban worthy. Tweak, top player. Tweak talks, we need to ban Steve. Larry Lur made a video on why I think Steve should be banned. I think Steve is officially more overpowered than Brawl Meta Knight. Hungrybox, high level player. Steve is banned from Coinbox. Mars, content creator.
I don't feel any sympathy for banning Steve. I don't care that Steve players have been working for the last 2 years to unveil all this broken. You shouldn't have showed anybody. You played that very poorly, Steve players. You should have kept that tech to your little Discord or something.
Zamba, top player. Let's just start by saying ban Steve. Meister, top player. Aight, never mind. I gave it some thought and maybe banning Steve is better, lol. Coney, commentator. We may need to ban Steve. Also Coney replying to Hungrybox. Banning tech is logistically impossible. Gotta throw the whole guy out. Which, by the way, PMLG, it breaks the fundamental rules of the game. It's like you take a bullet shot from an AK and you don't recoil from the attack because you have invisible bulletproof armor covering your entire body and no one but you knows that. And because of that, Steve doesn't even flinch. The risk-reward ratio becomes super in the Steve player's favor, as the Steve player can combo, kill, even 0 to death the other character because they got hit. Opposing combos, juggling, multi-hits literally stop working on this character suddenly, and the Steve players can learn this technique in 10 or so minutes. And what are you rewarded? A character that can literally ignore the rules of get hit stunned. Yes, even at 999%. Because of this tech, numerous regions around the US have begun to ban the character in locals, while Australia will ban the character in May 2023. But in my opinion, one of the most significant events of this discussion by far happened just recently. Collision 2023, a Smash Ultimate Super Major banned the PMLG technique and then later banned Steve as a whole from future events, which cannot be ignored in this discussion. We talked about another tournament in France that banned Steve way before PMLG was a thing, but now we have a US Super Major banning the character as a whole, which again, you can't just ignore that. And quite honestly, I would not be surprised that more super majors, such as Let's Make Big Moves, Momocon, and Genesis, start following this trail as well and start banning Steve. Interestingly, I found something that was like super intriguing, and that is that a lot of Japan does not support a ban for the character. They believe that PMLG, while good, does not break the game, and as such, Steve will remain unbanned in the next few majors in Japan. Additionally, some of the Steve players in Japan, such as Akala, also believe that the tech is rather difficult to perform and might even not be practical. Akala in particular at Ultimate Summit 6 says that he wouldn't use it in his own matches because of how difficult it is to perform. Japan also cites that at their tournaments, the character does not dominate the bracket whatsoever, which is true. For example, aside from Akala and a little bit from Hikaru, Kaguribi 9, I feel so bad if I'm mispronouncing that. Kaguribi 9 had a diverse list of characters in their top 32 placings, with Steve only taking 2 of the places. By the way, shoutouts to Naru in Vegas on Twitter for a translation on how Japan feels about the PMLG technique and the Steve ban discussions. To summarize, I've completely changed my stance on my claim of keeping Steve unbanned. I honestly think that Steve should actually be banned from competitive Smash now. And I say this because of many points. Number 1, originally I wanted to see if there is counterplay that would be developed even before PMLG was a thing. But if you look around, you'll realize that there hasn't been counterplay at all. No one's come up with anything. So that's one thing. Number 2, Steve is now considered by many to be the best character in the game, even outdoing Aegis, Joker, and Pikachu for the spot before, which by the way, those 3 were the universal top 3. And numerous top players want Steve banned. And this is coming from an O2er, using top player opinions, am I right? Number 3, PMLG literally breaks the rules in the game. If you get hit, you're supposed to suffer from hit stun. But Steve has a technique that can bypass all of that. And that is the main tech that has caused so many regions and Collision to ban the character as a whole. What do you guys think? Comment below because I actually really want to see your opinions on this discussion. And do you believe that Steve should be banned or should he stay unbanned? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed today's video and you want to share your support, hit that like button down below for me, give me a thumbs up, and I don't really care, but if you do, subscribe, because it really helps on my channel. I'm curious to see, again, what you think about this whole discussion on the Steve ban, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye! Oh my god. That's so mean!
It just ended.
Oh my god, that's a shiny furry giraffe!
No!
Oh my god! You wanna know what's crazy? Is that this script is literally longer than my entire college paper on subtitles. It is literally almost 1,300 or so words long. And that is at least 100 more words than that on my college paper.